Hey everybody, Bob Babbitt here, Breakfast with Bob. We are at the 2021 USA Cycling Paracycling Road National Championships in beautiful Boise, Idaho. And I'm with, I don't know, if there's a Mount Rushmore of endurance athletes, this guy, Arm Willie Stewart, is right there. How you doing, bud? We're talking 15 times Alcatraz.
20 now, buddy.
20 you've done it? You're
my
crazy.
20th.
This will be your 20th Alcatraz. How many times have you done Leadville?
10, going on my 11th.
Do you get that belt buckle that's like bigger than you are?
Yeah, really big. That's what it was all about, that belt buckle. But then my wife threw it away right when I brought it home. So much for that.
What I think is people don't realize, when you first went to Leadville, they weren't really open to you participating, right? Because you're missing your arm. They thought it was dangerous.
Yeah, and they were right. But, you know, it was interesting, though, that I went into the door, I signed up, paid my money, went in the door. I was already in the back wave, and they wouldn't even let me go in and register. You know, so they said, no, you're not doing it. So I went back, put a wig on, and put a
long sleeve shirt,
a wig and a cape, and boy, they just want that cape sold. And yeah, I put a long sleeve shirt on, covered up my arm. They let me in. Back then it was 1,000 people. 400 didn't finish. It snowed that day, and I finished on the cutoff. I was like, I don't know, 11 hours, 55 minutes, and then did it 9 times in a row to prove a point.
And the point was that challenge athletes can do anything.
Yeah, and there's a ton of athletes now with disabilities doing it, and they don't say a peep. But that was a long time ago, and things have changed a lot, and, you know, CAF has a lot to do with that change.
Talk a little bit about the change in technology for you, because when you were first doing Ironman, you're talking about you had a reservoir of water under your seat because you couldn't take your hand off the bars, right?
Yeah, I did an Ironman a couple of weeks ago, and the thing was just the camelbacks are better. You know, the way we hold water bottles on a bike, the way you can drink off the front and everything. Everything's a lot better. The brakes are better, the gears, the weight, the body positioning. And also I didn't have a prosthetic back then. And now I used a different prosthetic for the first time in that one a couple weeks ago, and it went really well. It was a lot of fun. And I'm not fast at all, but I'm still having a ton of fun.
So you were one of those guys who actually knew Jim McLaren, right? Really, from when he first got paralyzed, right?
Yeah, Jim McLaren was inspirational, to me, but mainly because he was the one that called me a wuss. He called me a wimpy guy for not trying to go swim and do a triathlon because I said I couldn't swim. And Jim was just a good dude. And if you look back over 25 years and, that second injury that he had when he was the spinal cord injury, it changed it changed the lives of thousands and thousands of people all over the world. But it's like Jim maybe didn't want that to happen, but with that injury is how I met him. He came to ski in Colorado, took him skiing, and he became someone I loved to be around. He was probably one of the coolest people I ever met, and that was a changing point for me to meet him.
And he got you to San Diego for really one of the first San Diego Triathlon Challenge events.
He did. And I dog paddled my way in my cutoff shorts out around 1.2 mile swim back then.
Yeah.
1.2, got it done. Got on the bike, was in heaven, and then torched the run.
So when you see, I think now we've sent out 35,000 grants to athletes, and the coolest part is 104 different sports around the world. And you've done most of those, right? Mm-hmm. You talk about cross-country skiing, you've gone to the Paralympics, you're talking triathlon, you're talking mountain biking. Are there any limits for people in this day and age?
You know what? It's like we did that smoke and fire race here in Idaho last year. They didn't think anyone with a disability could ever even come close to that course. We had four people out there on the course, and we had a guy, Andre, in a hand cycle.
Who's missing both legs.
Missing both legs, going up some of the hardest climbs in the world. I don't know, most able-bodied people can't do it. So Andre's out there doing it, so I will never say, I have no idea what people can do anymore. Because every time I turn around, someone's doing some totally bad thing, kicking butt and doing things that I never thought I could do, and they're doing it. And that was a big thing with me. It was, you don't know till you try. So toe the line, fall on your face if you have to, get up and toe the line again, but you don't know till you try. And it seems now that people are doing everything. I mean, almost any sport in every country in the world now. So it's awesome.
So CAF Idaho, you were living up here when everything sort of changed and Idaho became a hotbed for Challenged Athletes Foundation. Talk a little about the growth of CAF Idaho and how cool, as a guy who came up here who had no idea this was going to happen, having this happen around you, right?
Yeah, well, CAF has always been a driver in my life, but you brought CAF to Idaho with the Albertson Family Foundation, and I'll tell you what, we've pushed the envelope unbelievably here, doing things that I never thought. But we've done Nordic clinics, bike clinics, mountain biking, off-road everything, hand cycles, e-assist bikes, trail development, you name it, we're involved with. We now have the Twilight Criterium here, but it's bringing the para-national championships here to Boise. And this is just the start. I guarantee we'll end up with Nordic and Alpine national championships. And name a sport that Idaho doesn't do. And you left out the kayaking is huge here, paddle sports. Whitewater is big in Idaho, and you watch how many athletes with disabilities will start, hitting the big whitewater once they give the opportunity. We're hitting the gravel, hitting mountain biking, and the sports are expanding, and our athletes are getting better and better, and we're starting little kids at an early age here in Idaho. And you watch what happens. Idaho's going to be a feeder system for the Paralympic team, and a lot of these athletes will make the Olympic team too, because they're just darn good, able-bodied or disabled. They're all darn good.
So when I look at the resume with, kayaking the Grand Canyon and the adventure race in BVI and winning the Catalina Marathon overall, all those type of things, talk a little bit about some of the scariest moments, because you've had some scary moments, like when you were paddling the Colorado River,
well,
when your arm almost killed you.
There's still an arm at the bottom of the river, but luckily I always carry it back up. But you got to figure that I kayaked 250 miles down the Grand Canyon, and then went to Kona, and then went to New York City, and then did the Hurt 100 in Hawaii, one of the trails that you were just excelled on.
Oh my God, that was a nightmare.
So those things, I thought I wasn't good at anything. I just said I wanted to do it all. And I think the more athletes do, the more they expose themselves, the more they message what people with disabilities can do. Now, I wasn't good at it. These athletes that you'll see here this weekend, they're good.
Right.
Really
good, yeah.
And Catalina was one of those things. It was a rough day. What do I have, Bob? The slowest finishing win ever.
3:12, baby. The slowest time ever.
But it snowed.
But you won. Yeah. But it was. I think we had locusts and we had hail.
I love the volcano that they threw in.
Yes.
Yeah, it was the worst day ever, but it was a heck of a lot of fun. And you know what? You can't do anything if you don't toe the line. And I believe, just like you, put that number on, and you just don't know until the race is over.
So last week was Ironman Coeur d'Alene. It was 100-some degrees. You had broken ribs and shoulder stuff. You were going, and there was thoughts, well, Willie can even do this thing. Did you have those thoughts?
You know what? I think we all have a certain amount of doubt that motivates us.
Yeah.
The thought of not making it motivate me to train. And so I felt like I could always do an Ironman out of the box. I said I could do it, but that Ironman was extraordinary. 1,000 of the 2,000 athletes, 1,000 of them were out.
That's 25% of the field. I think it was the highest attrition rate ever.
And then didn't say how many went to the hospital, but quite a few. And I just stayed within myself, and I kind of liked it. I really liked being out there. I loved being with all the people. I loved to see the courage of everyone fighting through a real difficult day. It fires me up.
It does.
And then they inspire me. And I'll tell you what, they're my peeps, man. I'm going to do another one. I'm not kidding. I'm going back to Kona, dude.
Are you coming back to Kona?
Yeah, you heard now. Get me in. I'm back.
You know what race you would love?
All of them.
Challenge Roth.
Oh, yeah. But we did that one. And
you
that
did,
was
that's
called
right.
Challenge Beer Drinking,
Exactly.
if I recall.
Exactly, you did that.
Those towns deserved people to stop in and have a cold one, because there's no better place in the world than Bavaria to have a beer.
What athletes inspire you? I remember one time you were telling me that Melanie Benn.
Yeah, for sure. But I have a little kid here named Morris, and hopefully you'll get to meet him.
Yeah.
He's just the toughest little sucker in the world. He's in that cut of the Rudy mold, Roderick mold. I mean, I have thousands of kids that I've been with over the years that not only do I get inspired, but they change the way people think. And that's powerful stuff when a little kid can change the way people think. Wait till you see my brother Morris. If you get to go out to the pool with him and go for a swim.
He'll kill me, all right?
No, you're going to be blown away, because he is just a unique human being on this planet, and nothing gets in his way. I'll tell you what, he's the kid that's going to be on the cover of a cereal box, because he's a bad dude.
And what's he dealing with?
He just, I have no idea what's going on with him, but I'll tell you what, he overcomes all kinds of obstacles due to a disability, but nothing stops him.
Yeah.
He's just, he's the one you want to put on Mount Rushmore. Morris, he's the man.
When you go back and you watched Rudy grow up, you've watched Roderick grow up, to see them go from these little peanuts to multiple-time Paralympians, Ironman finishers, all that. How does that make you feel?
You know what?
Because you've been a big part of that.
Well, it makes me feel great when I see people with disabilities that you look at and you respect, and given an opportunity to get on a platform, those two took the ball, ran with it. Those two show leadership to me. Those two, Roderick going to school, first one in his family ever to graduate, I think college.
Yep.
There's role models there. And my thing is our community needs more role models. The CF community needs more leaders, more people taking on the mantle of making sure that you live life in its fullest, using sport to catapult you into the bigger realms of life, to ultimately owning a home, having kids, being with your family, all the things that I have now. I want that for all my brothers and sisters with disabilities, to make sure that don't just compete in sports at a high level, compete in life at a high level, but use sports as that pole vault to take you to the next ground. And that's what we see all the time.
So if Willie Stewart now could talk to Willie Stewart, who had just lost his arm in the Watergate building from back in the day, what would you tell him?
That guy was mean. I would say maybe put a little bit of a softer touch, like the velvet hammer rather than the hammer.
So when you look back at yourself, you're not very happy with that guy?
Well, I did. I think I was, when I was playing rugby and all that, I was a little extreme on the violent side of rugby.
Yeah.
But I had to, because
that's rugby.
But nobody would let me in the game unless I left a footprint. And so sometimes I had to.
And this is after you lost your arm.
Lost my arm, and sometimes I had to leave the footprint on someone's back. But it wasn't sometimes I didn't need to, but I wanted them to know who they were playing with was formidable.
Yes.
And I wanted to let them know that do whatever you want, I'm going to do it better, and I'm going to win this game. And it was an all cost win type attitude back then. And you know how it is. As an athlete, you got to walk off the field and shake hands. Well, a lot of people didn't shake my hand, not because it was missing, just because they didn't want to go near me.
Well, because you were dealing with a little bit of anger.
A little, Bob. I was a tornado of anger, but I didn't.
How did you get past that? Because you were like you said, you come out of high school, you're all-state wrestling, you've got a scholarship waiting for you.
Football.
All of a sudden, your whole world gets torn upside down when you end up losing your arm. How did you deal with that?
I think
what was
the
the lowest
kids.
moment?
It was when I started giving back, and little kids kind of looked up to me.
Yeah.
And then moved out to Colorado, started running ski programs and stuff, started running year-round, professional challenge, things like that, getting these kids motivated, fired up to go to the next level.
Right.
And I fed on that, and I started realizing maybe, kicking ass as an individual is one thing, but taking a bunch of people with you is another. And one of the reasons why I became so enthralled with CIF was that I felt like we got respect,
right.
And that's all I wanted. And so towing the line in Ironman in the front row with the best triathletes in the world gives you a lot of respect. Going into a ski race, getting in the front line with the best skiers in the United States and in the world gives you a lot of respect. And all I wanted was people to say, hey, you're a badass, not like, hey, you can't. But you can. And that was it. And I felt like anytime someone saw me, they were like, dude, you suck. I go, really? Watch this. And that was the game.
And so this weekend's a little different for you because you're going to be watching other people kick butt and take names.
Well, how do you like it? I love it, man. I can go
it's my favorite thing.
I can go hand out cups of water at an Ironman and cheer people on and feel really good too. And I feel really good when I'm doing it. I just like the scene. I like these people. I like people that are active, tend to be happy.
We saw during COVID time that it was really difficult. When you're somebody who's wheelchair bound, so much of your personality comes from being a wheelchair basketball player, wheelchair lacrosse, whatever you're playing. That went away. Right. Now you're a guy sitting in an apartment in a wheelchair. How tough? You're in contact with a lot of folks. How tough was that for people to deal with?
Hey, desperation and a lot of people are always fighting for purpose.
Yeah.
And to feel with no purpose, you feel desperate, and people that feel desperate act differently. And we in this realm of people we run in, we're active people. We need to be active with others. We're social animals. We're all social. We all want to be with others. We all want to exercise, play together, and spend community time. When all that disappears, it's magnified by your disability. It's magnified because there's doors that you can't get into already, and now more doors are shut. It's a desperate time. And CAF here in Idaho, we stayed busy. We put on a lot of little socially distanced clinics that made a huge impact.
Yeah.
I mean, we were at Magic Mountain. Look it up. Try to find Magic Mountain Ski Resort. Try to find it. It's over in Twin, but we probably had 20 kids over there, and it was magical. Really was. I mean, we were over in Sun Valley. We were up in McCall. We're at Brundage, Jug Mountain. We're at all these places, iconic places in the state of Idaho. We did the Smoke and Fire 400-mile bike ride throughout all of Idaho. We were always doing something all the time, but we were doing it intimate, smaller, socially distanced. But we did leave a lot out. And so our goal is to get it back and get it back tenfold. Be stronger. Be stronger. Come back better than we were before, Bob.
I love it. Willie, as always, always such a treat to get to chat with you, my man. Because we never know where it's going to go. That's what's so fun about it.
It's right in the curb.
My favorite Willie story, as long as we've got a captive audience here, Muddy Buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Florida, right?
Yeah,
Willie, we were out drinking wine the night before the Muddy Buddy, and Willie's bike was in Houston, I think.
Yeah.
And then it finally got there at 11 at night, and you decided, after a little bit of wine, that you would put the bike together, which was probably not the smartest thing. Your teammate, leg amputee Paul Martin, spent most of the race, running behind the bike, picking up pieces of your arm and of the bike.
Yeah, that was a... Yeah, and the best part is you have a film of that, and you play it over and over and over, Bob.
I know.
I think it's been seen like 6 million times.
It's pretty fun.
But I've embarrassed myself more than once in my life, and it will happen again.
Well, what you've done is you've given people hope.
Yeah,
You've given
thanks.
challenge athletes around the world hope that they can accomplish anything they want to do, because seriously, if you can do it,
That's right.
What the hell?
Yeah, just to, get up. And I've always said this in real quick, Bob, is that a lot of people that have traumatic injuries or are born with disabilities with their families and stuff, you got to get up and you got to fight. And once you got that fight, you're gonna kick butt. You can't kick butt without a swing. Cheers.
Love it. Willie Stewart has been our guest, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. We're up here in beautiful Boise for the 2021 USA Cycling Paracycling Road National Championships, hosted by CAF, partnership of CAF, USA Cycling, and US Paralympics. Hold on, everybody. We will be right back.